Misha thinks she is the victim. I don't think she cry for good reason. What I done to her that she cry?
What have you done to make her cry? Nicola, are you serious? This entire trip you've been looking down at her. You've constantly made her feel bad. Literally every single time she's tried to discuss how she's feeling, you've disregarded her. And don't even get me started on the fact that you seem keen to hide her from your family. Almost like you're ashamed or embarrassed by her or something. Frankly, I feel like Misha's allowed to shed a tear without Nicola scoffing at her. It's becoming very clear that Nicola sees things very differently from everyone else.
I'm not like you, always attacking this. I become humble and absorb, like Jesus Christ on the cross. He absorbed the persecution.
Oh gosh, now he's comparing himself to Jesus. That takes a lot of confidence. I'm not really sure that Nicola's getting this. But before we dig into how narcissistic Nicola's been, we left the pair last week with Misha giving Nicola an ultimatum. If they aren't engaged by the end of her trip, then the relationship's over. And when we last saw them, Nicola was forced to set aside his dubious moral rules and actually have a great night for once.
Last night, Nicola and I had a pretty good time in downtown Haifa, having a beer, going to a dance club, and it was really great to see him come out of his shell a little bit.
See, Nicola, it is actually possible to relax on your moral policing. Get off your high horse. Now, even though he only did this to make Misha happy, that was enough for her. That's all she needed. That's all she was asking for. And today, she's also going to get something else she wanted. She's finally going to get to meet an important person in his life. But this wouldn't be Nicola if he didn't also find a way to bring religion into this.
This is an important place for Nicola because it's where he goes to church, and it's also where his best friend Wasim lives. And after we do some touring together, Nicola plans on introducing me.
It's funny, Misha's made it very clear to Nicola she wants him to tell his family about her. She wants to meet them before the end of the trip. But instead, Nicola's brought her to meet his friend. So why is he choosing to introduce her to Wasim first? Well, remember what he said in the very first episode. How favourably he compared Wasim to even his own family.
My family, they are not devout Catholic. Just my grandmother, everybody else, they don't have Jesus, they don't know God. But my best friend, Wasim, he's my rosary warrior.
Reading between the lines, that might suggest that Nicola values Wasim's opinion far more than he does his family's. I'm not sure how aware of this Misha is, but it will be interesting to see how Wasim reacts to Misha in person. Because when we last saw him, he seemed baffled by their relationship.
عليه يعني انه انساني عن جد وانه هذا الانسان اللي بيشتغلش المفلس القاعد اللي فيش اشي يعمله بس انه يصلي بغرفته قدام العذراء.
But first things first, before Misha gets to meet Wasim, Nicola wants to take her to arguably the most important place in Israel for him, the church he prays at every Sunday.
Come see something here. Being Catholic is everything for me. And that's what makes me and Misha also to have stronger relationship.
Look, we get it. Religion clearly ties these two together very strongly. But what do they have beyond that? It doesn't really feel like they have much. I mean, even on this trip, Nicola's adopted the role of tour guide rather than boyfriend. But what's going to happen when Misha's done with all the sightseeing? Will all his lecturing and his patronising tone lose its charm? Their differences are already very apparent when Wasim joins them for lunch. You see, Misha's found this adorable kitten on the street, and she just can't put it down.
God, Misha, I don't know what to do with you. Oh my God. Every cat she sees in the street, she thinks she is the mother of the cat. And I don't like it.
This is yet another massive difference between these two. She's just cuddling an adorable kitten. It's really not that bad, Nicola, yet it seems to actively annoy him. Now, Nicola claims that it's rude she wouldn't put down the kitten in order to greet Wasim, but I don't think Wasim really minded that much. I mean, just minutes later, he himself begins to play with the cat. I think the truth is, this is more something that Nicola doesn't like. He doesn't like it when he can't control Misha's actions. Just listen to the way he attempts to control their conversation.
Tell him about the view from our hotel. Tell him where we have been, where I took you, or since you came from Israel.
Instead of allowing his friend and Misha to find their own common ground to start building a bond, Nicola begins to command the direction of the conversation. I think there's two potential ways to look at this. You could argue this behaviour is almost like a small child, excited to tell his friend what they've been up to. Or you could argue that this ties into his controlling, perhaps even misogynistic nature. Speaking of which, Nicola takes this opportunity to raise yet another thing that he's unhappy about, Misha's messiness.
I never saw a woman brought with her all America and make a messy place in my room.
What a man-child. That's absolutely not the way to do things, Nicola. A real man, an adult, would have brought this up with Misha in private. This feels like he's waited for his friend to come and now he's going to mock her. He's going to try and embarrass her about the issue. Thankfully, it's at this moment that Wasim's wife arrives. The topic of the conversation changes, but Nicola's attitude doesn't.
She crazy me about my mom and my brother. Did you tell your mom about me? Your brother about me?
So my whole family knows all about Nicola.
Nicola's so wrong here. Misha's entire family know about him. They've been chatting for over 7 years. How the heck does he have the audacity to call her demands crazy? This insinuation that somehow Misha's nuts is starting to really grind on her.
It's a little wearing to hear Nicola always basically insinuate that I'm crazy because I want to meet his family before spending my entire life with him.
Misha appears to be really emotionally intelligent. She knows what she wants and she understands that human behaviour can be quite complicated. Everyone's unique, everyone's different, and this might be why she's been so patient with Nicola. She's excused his bad behaviour for so long. But even with her patience, she has a limit, and Nicola is fast approaching it. His actions have started to cause a lot of doubts in her mind.
I would have loved for Nicola to take this opportunity with his best friend to showcase what we've built over 7 years of talking and be excited about us.
I really do wonder, does Nicola think that his insulting behaviour, his dismissive attitude, somehow makes him look like more of a man in front of his friend? Does he think that he's putting Misha back in her place? He should be thanking his lucky stars. He should be thanking God at how lucky he is to have bagged a beautiful lady inside and out. Someone who's flown thousands of miles to give this guy a chance. But instead, at every opportunity, he tries to remind her that he's somehow better than her. Thankfully, Misha isn't the type of woman that's going to take this behaviour lying down. She's mature enough to wait until the two of them are alone before raising her concerns with him, a respect that Nicola didn't afford her.
I want to feel like Nicola is proud, happy I'm here, and cares that I'm here.
I do.
The combination of Nicola not telling his family about her, complaining about her to his best friend, and his general high and mightiness have all left Misha feeling very heavy-hearted about this relationship. This realisation that he might not be the man she thought he was leads to Misha's emotions spilling over. She begins to cry. But if she expected any sympathy at all from Nicola, sadly, she's not gonna get any.
Because after this long,
Oh my God, Misha, why you cry now?
just let me be me.
You're too emotional, Misha, sometimes.
This is the first time we're seeing this level of emotion from Misha, but Nicola's reaction makes it seem like she's been crying non-stop. That just couldn't be further from the truth. Up until now, she's been very cool, calm and collected in explaining exactly what she wants from Nicola. But anytime she raises any sort of issue with him, he just dismisses her. He claims she's crazy or emotional. Where's his empathy? Why isn't he hugging her? Just keep that in mind, because his lack of empathy here, it will become really important later on.
Misha thinks she is the victim. I don't think she cry for good reason. What I done to her that she cry? She think Nicola is always need to change?
Nicola can't understand why Misha's upset. He doesn't have the emotional intelligence to understand what kind of support Misha needs. In his mind, he thinks he's been the perfect partner. He's devoted his time to showing her around Israel. He's been a good tour guide. When she asked him for more physical touch, he gave her more hugs. To him, it's that simple. He's done everything he can. But you, on the other hand, Misha, all you do is see fault, he says to her.
You think the problem is only from my side, but I see also problem from your side. But guess what? I become quiet because I want this relationship to work.
And there it is. That is the root of all their issues. Misha understands that a good relationship requires good communication. She needs to be able to vocalize her thoughts and feelings. But Nicola would just prefer her to shut up. He thinks that life is easier if you turn a blind eye and keep your mouth shut.
I'm not like you always attacking this. I become humble and absorb, like Jesus Christ on the cross. He absorbed the persecution.
Week by week, we're seeing more and more of Nicola's narcissistic personality traits. He has such an inflated sense of self and such a lack of empathy, as we saw earlier. He truly sees himself as some kind of saint. It's ridiculous that he compares himself to Jesus Christ for how he's handled Misha's so-called attacks on him. He thinks he's perfect. He's a good religious man. How dare she attack him? She, of all people, has no right to criticize.
You know how many things I can tell you, Misha, that I don't like? 10 hours makeup, all the messy clothes, Misha, but I don't say nothing. Maybe you need to change your attitude toward me.
How laughable is it? How crazy is it? And I use that word deliberately. How crazy is it that Nicola is so unwilling to see fault in himself that he flips the conversation around and compares Misha's long makeup routine to her feeling alone, unworthy and unsupported. The guy is a true narcissist, totally incapable of seeing any fault in himself.
Every time I share how my heart feels, you go, oh, you better not tell me how you feel or you're gonna be selfish and I'm gonna tell you that you're blaming me. That means I can never, ever, ever tell you how I feel.
And that's exactly what Nicola wants. He wants Misha to hold in how she feels and stay silent so they can both pretend they're happy. That's what he's been doing this entire time. And now he decides he's done with this conversation. Unwilling to talk anymore, Nicola shuts Misha down and goes to have a shower. Meanwhile, Misha's left all alone, feeling completely gaslit, having to come to terms with the fact that Nicola absolutely isn't the man she thought he was.
I start to go, I don't think this was anything like what I thought it was. This is a personality type. This is how a brain is hardwired.
It is a personality type. It's the personality type of a narcissist. It's just surprising that it's taken Misha 7 years to pick up on the signs. She's devoted almost a decade to this relationship. So will that be a reason for her to stay and attempt to work through their issues? Or is she finally done?